Can you tell me who you are and what you do?
Yes, my name's Shelley Redman. I'm the CEO of the Huntington Society of Canada.
Bonjour, je m'appelle Angèle Bénard. Hi, my name is Angèle Bénard, and I'm the National Director of Family Services with the Huntington Society of Canada.
My name's Corey Jenke, and I'm a social worker with the Huntington Society of Canada.
The Huntington Society of Canada is an organization that supports individuals and families affected by Huntington disease.
Huntington disease is a neurodegenerative genetic disease that is passed along in families. And so what it does is that it's based on a gene mutation, and with that gene mutation, usually between the ages of 35 and 55, people develop symptoms if they have that mutation.
It's very rare in Canada. Only about 1 in 7,000 Canadians will inherit this disease, so it's not really well known, and the average age of onset is between the ages of 35 and 50.
And so those symptoms can affect the person in the way they move, the way they think, and the way they feel. And so it will affect the physical components of how they can walk and talk and their coordination. It can also affect the way they plan things and how they can remember things on a short-term basis, or how they filter information as it comes in. And then it can also affect the way they feel about themselves, about the world around them. And so some folks may develop some depression, may develop some anxiety. And so there's different mental health components to Huntington disease as well. And as it progresses, it does get worse. And unfortunately, people do die from complications of Huntington disease, usually about 15 to 20 years after the start of the symptoms.
At the Huntington Society of Canada, our vision is to have a world free from Huntington disease. In order to do that, we need to invest in promising research and enable our research community in Canada to do the work that is involved to find a cure, find disease-modifying treatments.
Huntington's Disease Society is built on volunteerism. So there's lots of people that are always looking to figure out what they want to do with their volunteer hours. So we're always welcoming people like that, which is a great opportunity to actually meet and see people that are living with this disease, see their resiliency and their bravery as they approach a really devastating disease. So they can join chapters if they were interested in doing that, and major cities often have chapters that do fundraising events and also public awareness events. So that's pretty well how people can get involved locally. And then of course our national office is always there for contact and supporting funding for research as well as the services that the Society puts out.
I actually fell into Huntington Society of Canada by accident. I have a background in mental health, and at the time, was a mom of 3 young children, and this opportunity came up to work from home and to get to know a new community. And so I threw my name in the hat, and I was a successful candidate. So I got to know, and I got to work with families in Northern Ontario that are affected by Huntington disease. And so for about 7 years, I worked closely with the families, I worked with the service providers, helped to develop the youth mentorship program, and then about 8 years ago, moved on to the national director role, and now I get to work with a whole team of social workers across the country.
I've been with the Huntington Society of Canada for 3.5 years now. I was first touched with Huntington disease working in the community hospital system in leadership roles and intersecting with individuals and families with Huntington disease, and developed a passion in this area of work.
I was just out of school, and I had a student loan that had to get paid off, and a contract position came up, and I decided that I was going to do that work to pay off my student loan. And 31 years later, here I am.
Sure. So I think what happens often with Huntington disease, a lot of healthcare providers and service providers think that it's just a neurological disease, just with a physical component. And I think sometimes people don't realize how much of an impact it can have on the person's mental health. And so having had a background in mental health, I was lucky enough to have some training and some knowledge on how to approach those conversations with the families, but also with the service providers, and how to advocate to show that people with Huntington disease do have sometimes issues with their mental health because of the condition itself. Folks can reach out to social workers at the Huntington Society in multiple ways. We do have a quick and easy link on our website. It's called Add Me link, and they can actually just submit their name, their email address, their phone number, and let us know a little bit about what they're looking for. And then we'll connect them directly with the social worker in their region. They can also call our national office. So they can call the 1-800 number and they can request to speak to someone, and they'll have the list of social workers and be able to redirect them to the person that's in their region as well. So this weekend is our national conference, and it's the first one we have. It's 2023, so it's the first one we have since 2018. And so we get to connect as a community. So that means it's the HSC team, both from the Waterloo office and the social workers across the country. A lot of our volunteers are coming out to connect. We have folks from our HD clinics across the country, some neurologists, some psychiatrists, some of our genetic counseling teams. There's also different service providers that join us for different topics. And so it's really, in a way, a reunion and an opportunity to learn from each other and learn some of the newest information on research and on care. And hopefully people find that connection valuable for them so that they're not feeling that isolation. And that they also are able to bring home some of that new information and share with their communities about what's happening in HD.
There's a number of ways that individuals can get involved with the Huntington Society of Canada. Locally in chapters, volunteering, fundraising, selling amaryllis, joining our national walk, becoming involved in May Awareness, and of course, becoming a donor with the organization.
We have a whole month dedicated to Huntington disease awareness, which is May Awareness. And through that month, we have all sorts of activities. So there's regional activities where our volunteers set up fundraisers and activities for people to connect and get to know a little bit about the disease. We also have a huge international campaign called Light It Up for HD. So in May, if you're driving around and you see people who have blue or purple lights on their house or on monuments or different government buildings, that's a signal that it's lighted up for HD. We're trying to raise that awareness, not only in Canada, but around the world.
By going out to our public speaks that we have about that, kind of joining the campaigns that we have. Currently, we're in the middle of the Amaryllis campaign, which is our biggest fundraiser and awareness program that we have. So people can buy an amaryllis and watch it grow in the memory of someone with Huntington's disease, which is really, really cool. Coming to conferences or going to support groups, all of those activities can be really, really helpful at increasing people's understanding, reducing the fear, and then being able to kind of go out there and talk a little bit more about it.
We're also very excited for the future with the development of Centers for HD Care, CARE standing for Clinical and Research Excellence. These will allow clinics in the community to provide standardized multidisciplinary services to meet the needs best for our communities and to provide outreach to underserviced areas.
So, I mean, I think our vision is a world free of Huntington disease. That would be the ultimate goal. And I think that that's something that we're working on every day, both in Canada and in different countries around the world. And I also think that part of what we do as a goal is try to help families get the best quality of life they can have right now, while we're still working on getting that treatment for Huntington disease. So I think that by providing education, providing that support, we're hoping to help enhance the people's experience going through Huntington disease, and hopefully that it makes it a little bit easier as the disease progresses, and there are losses to this disease for the person that has it and also the family around them. And we're hoping that in that support and that education, that we can maybe make that journey a little bit easier.
Your crush.